Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another edition of The Danny Show. I'm your host, Daniel Cody, and this is where I give commentary and reviews on all things wrestling. And before I get started, I want to say how proud I am to announce that as of right now, we on this show have set a new attendance record. All of you who have viewed, because of you, there is a new record of 50 subscribers. So thank you guys so much for your views and your likes and your thumbs ups and your comments and the feedback. I really appreciate it. Tonight, let's talk about War Games. Now, let me ask you this question before I go any further. How do you think Triple H would sound saying War Games? But let's get started with our opening contest of the women's version of the NXT War Games. So, in the opening contest, we have Reilly, who comes out with a baseball bat, and Dakota Kai comes out, who has developed this crazy persona and just gone psychotic, saying that she will bury the past and she was the one behind the cryptic messages on NXT at Halloween Havoc. But either way, she comes out with kendo sticks, and it works against her because as Kaylee Ray and Dakota start the match off, Dakota gets slammed not only through kendo sticks, but onto that middle ramp where that steel Gardner is, which means that hurts. Next comes out, I believe her name is Cora Jade, the one with the skateboard, and she uses her skateboard as a weapon, and for some reason some of the fans, 20% of the fans, chant "You can't skate." And then after that, the fans said, "We want Gigi." Apparently some of the people like Gigi, even though she's the bad one. But Poison Ivy 1, 2, 3, and Dakota Kai on one team, and Poison Ivy number 1, Gigi, comes out to fight, and then after that, let's see, she starts off real strong until she is forced to wear a trash can as a hat and gets a gory special with Dakota Kai falling on her face. And then Io Shirai, one of my favorite NXT females, comes to the ring and brings some more weapons to the ring and uses trash cans intentionally for her scary mask. You remember that song by Poppy, folks? Either way, let's see. JC Jane comes in and screams while bringing out the table. And of course, moving forward, the table that JCJ brought to the ring worked against her as she was put through the table as Cora Jade did a swanton bomb from the top of the cage onto her and injured her arm. But thankfully, Io Shirai is a doctor who popped her arm back into socket. And despite everything else we saw, Poison Ivy, the main Poison Ivy, I call Toxic Attraction Poison Ivy 1, 2, and 3. And the main Poison Ivy, number 1, Mandy Rose, who recently went a dark, like Hogan, went from gold and blonde to black. And so now she's all black and gothic, and basically Wade Barrett is to her. I mean, Wade loves her like Jerry loves Trish or Corey Graves back in the day. But either way, they come in, everyone's in the match, and Raquel comes in and treats Dakota Kai like a trash can, swings her around while she is folded in there. What would have been even more funny is if they put the lid top on Dakota Kai and played her like a drum. That would have been funny to see. But the merry-go-round and the trash can is good enough for me. Despite Jade being injured in her arm, she was able to roll up Oh, I got all these Jades mixed up. Which one is which? JC Jane. She rode up JC Jane for the win. And she was the, believe it or not, if you remember, she was the peacemaker in the beginning when she tried to keep Io and Raquel from fighting each other. But nonetheless, those two got along, and all four women won that match, defeating Poison Ivy 1, 2, and 3, and Dakota Kai and War Games. So congratulations, especially to Cora Jade for winning that match with one arm. Much respect for that. Next on this list, we have a tag team match between Imperium and Wagner and Kylo Reilly. And this is not like the ones. One thing about NXT. NXT is not like what we're used to seeing on Raw and SmackDown. These guys are action packed, fast paced wrestlers, and it is just so exciting. I remember watching Shinsuke Nakamura. WWE played a throwback of Shinsuke Nakamura versus Sami Zayn back when they were both in NXT. And that's the type of vibe we need to see from those two on SmackDown. And I missed that side of Sammy, by the way. But back to NXT. Imperium and Wagner and Wiley. It was a great match. Fast paced as usual with NXT. A lot of Mamma Mia moments. And I got to tell you, I miss Mauro Ranallo. I really miss having him on commentary. But he's commentating for boxing. But I want to see him come back to NXT to make some Mamma Mia moments, especially since Beth Phoenix is having her last show. Last night was her last show. And when WWE sent the news, they had a thumbnail, and the name of the video was Well Wishes to Beth Phoenix. And I got nervous. Y'all scared me. Who else? I don't know about y'all, but that scared me. Because I'm thinking something didn't happen. I'm thinking Beth Phoenix done got COVID, or somebody in the house got COVID, or Edge got COVID. I'm thinking the worst. When WWE sent the video called Well Wishes to Beth Phoenix, when actuality is she's saying she's going to step down from commentary to be a family person because she's a mother alongside Edge. And of course, somebody has to protect that house since somebody like Seth Rollins would interfere and break in. But either way, she stepped down because she wants to be a better mother and be closer to her kids. WWE scared the crap out of me. Y'all had me thinking something was wrong. But either way, this was a great match. Imperium and them, very fast paced. Iker showed a great highlight. He was the highlight of that match twice. Moonsaulting and flying over the top to the outside. And we saw Kyle O'Reilly and Wagner do moves that Shelton Benjamin and Haas were once known for. And also Wagner using the Kurt Angle move, Angle Slam. But that wasn't enough to stop Imperium. And I have a lot of respect for Imperium for just being amazing and being a highlight reel tonight. They really were a highlight. Even though they're quote unquote heels, they were very entertaining tonight. And with that match, they won the match and retained their tag team championships of NXT. We're used to seeing them being technically sound, but tonight we saw technicality and high flying ability. That was awesome. And unfortunately, the Wagner Kyle O'Reilly match went very short because Wagner tried to stab Kyle O'Reilly, but Kyle caught it. That's what I'm talking about. You got to catch the betrayal before it happens. I love when that happens. And so there's going to be a cage match on NXT between those two because Kyle made the challenge. And here's the thing. Kyle has been stabbed in the back before. Before he went to AEW with his friend Bobby Fish, Adam Cole stabbed all of his Undisputed Era brothers, including Kyle O'Reilly. So Kyle O'Reilly knows a bit about betrayal. So he smelled that rat. Moving on to Duke Hudson versus Cameron Grimes. To the moon. First off, let me just start off by saying, listening to the commentary, I do not think Wade Barrett will be missed by Beth Phoenix. I don't think Beth is going to miss being next to Wade at all because Wade is a total grouch last night. But this was a match that was very physical and like other matches in NXT pay-per-views and shows, very fast-paced. And it started off with both those two just going at it back and forth. And it was a hair versus hair match. And despite Hudson trying to cheat, he got caught. And Wade Barrett is having a fit. Wade, like JBL, are double standard commentaries from a scripted standpoint. I remember watching King Booker versus Batista at Survivor Series 2006. As long as King Booker cheats, JBL was fine. When Batista cheated, this is wrong, Michael Cole. This is wrong, Michael. This is darn wrong. You can't stand for this. He cheated and he put his hands on a woman. This is darn wrong. And Teddy Long, I hope you're happy. I just love listening to JBL just have a total fit with his double standards. And Wade Barrett is double standard also because he was a cheater. JBL was a cheater, but when they watch a babyface cheat, they have a fit. And it was one of those cases. But his cheating ways, Hudson I'm speaking of, didn't work out. And this whole thing started because Hudson lost a match on NXT, a gambling game. Now, I remember asking myself, what does this have to do with wrestling? And then I decided I was going to be patient because I'm like, they're building something up. So I'm bear with it because they're building something. And indeed, they did build something. And they built what would turn into a match. A hair versus hair match in which Cameron Grimes won, meaning Hudson had to be shaved. He tried, like Kurt Angle did in 2002, to fight his way out of it and turn the tables. But Lady Luck is a biscuit, in Wade Barrett's words. I'm afraid I've got some bad news. And that bad news is we didn't get to see Hudson get a full haircut. That's the bad news. But we got to see him get something cut. And he ran. But watching Kurt Angle run the way he did at Judgment Day, that was even more funny. Let's get to this next match right here before we get to the business at hand. We have Joe Creepy Gazy. I repeat, Joe Creepy Gazy. Yes, the man. I just think the man's creepy. He's creepy. Just CREEAP. CREEPY. Creepy. Just creepy. Hi. I mean, this guy, people say that minister who was blowing the wind, COVID-19, it sounded like he was spitting in. He said, I blow the wind of the higher power. Joe Gazy's eyes are creepier than that. Just COVID. Hey, I'm a guy of inclusion. Come aboard with me as we go into inclusiveness. We can resolve our problems without violence. Join inclusiveness. Yeah, creepy, right? Some of you are probably going to fast forward that because it's creepy. But either way, this match was Roger Strong versus Creepy Gazy for the Cruiserweight Championship. And it was a fast-paced match. I never thought I'd see Creepy Gazy fly, but I did. And I gotta say, even though both these guys are heel, I will give credit where credit is due. Diamond Mine has a great theme song. I will go with that. And I saw them trade submission holds with Roderick Strong having what is Walls of Jericho like, with Creepy Gazy smiling and laughing. Ha ha ha! This guy must have a pain fetish. Either way, also, he would turn it into a crossface. It's almost like we're watching Chris Benoit versus Chris Jericho, except not as creepy. But either way, thankfully, knees to the back would get Roderick Strong, another member from the Undisputed Era, of victory, retaining his Cruiserweight Championship. And this is all about some inclusion that people, regardless. I'm going to say this. Who else thought that was curious or concerned that he was going to abuse that woman on NXT to make a point about inclusiveness? He had a gigantic sumo guy, and then he had a cruiserweight, and then he was set to wrestle the woman, but that was interrupted, thankfully. I thought he was going to rough her up and take us back to days where that kind of thing was acceptable, but not to be so. But now that we're done doing the creepy stuff, let's get down to some non-creepy business and some stuff that will really excite me. First and foremost, the NXT War Games with the men. First off, let me say this. I was so happy to hear Johnny Gargano come out with his Rebel Heart theme. I loved that theme. The other theme that we're used to hearing was because he had turned heel after fighting and ending his rivalry with Tommaso last year. And that empty arena match that they had was awesome. But it was just great. It was so chilling in a good way. We got such chills when Gargano came out with his Rebel Heart theme and got a salute from Tommaso Ciampa and started the match with Carmelo, who don't miss, by the way. But Johnny didn't miss with his slingshot. And then after that, we have Grayson Waller. Yeah, I think that's what his name is. Grayson Waller would come in and give the 2-on-1 advantage because it's NXT Black and Gold, who I predicted would win, versus NXT 2.0. And I was rooting for Black and Gold like most of us were. Some of you were for 2.0. I was for Black and Gold. But Waller comes out with a 2-on-1 advantage, and then Pete Dunne comes to even the odds. And whenever Pete comes in, you got to watch your fingers. And Grayson Waller learned that the hard way because Grayson was made to scream. Also, we saw some great highlights from Grayson Waller as he did a couple of ninja flips and stunners. Now, I think Stone Cold's was better, but he did some ninja flips and stunners. And after that, we have the Angelo enters, the Italian guy, and then he enters with tables and everything else, and then Dexter Lumis comes out and runs Carmelo's manager off. Now, speaking of Dexter Lumis, Indy Hartwell can hardly focus on our matches because they're in the honeymoon phase, and I don't want to get into too much information because this. So we had that happen, and the match was filled with highlights. Ciampa comes in, and we saw Johnny Gargano and Ciampa work together. They've been friends. They've been bitter enemies. They've had a rivalry like Shawn Michaels and Triple H. But they were great to watch, whether they were partners or rivals. And tonight they were together, and they brought the crutch, nostalgia. Can't forget the crush. But we saw amazing things happen. We saw Grayson Waller do an elbow drop on LA Knight onto a table. We saw Carmelo get the DIY. No, it wasn't Carmelo that got the DIY. Sometimes when I say Carmelo, I think about Carmella. But Carmelo. It wasn't Carmelo that got the DIY. It was Angelo that got the DIY, I believe. Yeah, it was Angelo that got the DIY. Angelo had crowbarred Pete Dunne and took his tooth vase for souvenir as mockery. but he got DIY'd, and before we could get a 2 count, Carmelo interfered and broke it up. And then once that happened, Ciampa was about to finish Carmelo off until Braun Breaker speared Tommaso through a table and went for his finisher. And of course, Braun Breaker gets the win for Team 2.0. Darn it! I mean, I make no mistake about it. Braun Breaker has a heck of a future, and hopefully he'll be able to do better than his uncle and his father. Because for those of us that don't know, Braun Breaker is actually the son of the Steiner brothers, Rick Steiner, and the nephew to Scott Steiner. And we all know Scott Steiner is not too fond with WWE because he felt buried in early '03, and quite frankly, he kind of was buried. And so he has a point. But hopefully, Braun will have a better career. But still, I was rooting for 2.0. And speaking of, no, I was rooting for Black and Gold. That's what I was rooting for. I was rooting for Black and Gold. And speaking of Black and Gold, after the match, Johnny Gargano said he had a couple of things that he wants to talk about this Tuesday on NXT. Is he going to announce retirement? I don't know. But tonight was a great night, and I hope you guys enjoyed NXT. I really did. What do you think about the match last night? What do you think about everything that happened at 2.0 NXT War Games last night? Let me know in the comment section below. Thanks again for all the 50 subscribers. That's another record broken. Looking forward to breaking more. That's all the time I have. And I'll see you another time with another review on The Danny Show. We are NXT. Have a good week, folks. See you Tuesday for Jon Moxley, a.k.a. Dean Ambrose. The best matches, my reviews on that for his birthday. See you next time.